YPO Technology Network AI Brief Weekly Special for Saturday, March 7th, 2026. I'm Stephen Forté. Today we're doing something different. Normally on the Daily Brief, we cover 5 or 6 stories. Fast. This is the weekly special, which means we slow down, pick one thing, and actually take it apart. Today, that one thing is Perplexity Computer. Not the headline version you saw blow up on social media last month. 12 million views in 20 hours, the whole tech world losing its collective mind. I'm talking about what it actually does once the hype dies down, specifically how to use it like the command center it was designed to be, and not just another search bar you type questions into and hope for the best. Full disclosure, I've been using Computer to produce this very podcast. The news research, the script drafting, the audio generation, the publishing workflow, all of it runs through one interface. So what I'm sharing today isn't theory, it's the playbook I actually run. And by the end of this episode, you'll have 4 specific moves you can steal and put to work Monday morning. Let's start with the thing most people get wrong. Segment 1, the mental model shift. Here's the mistake. Most people open Perplexity Computer, type a prompt like they're Googling something, get a mediocre answer, and walk away thinking it's just another chatbot with better fonts. That's like buying a Formula One car and only using it to pick up dry cleaning, and then complaining it's overpriced. Computer isn't a search engine, it's an orchestration layer that sits on top of 19 different AI models. Claude handles complex reasoning, Gemini does deep research, GPT handles long context recall when you need it to hold an entire annual report in its head. Grok is there for raw speed. Nano Banana generates images, VO handles video, and underneath all of them sits a meta router, a traffic controller that reads your request, breaks it into discrete pieces, and assigns each piece to whichever model is best suited for that specific job. So what does that mean in practice? It means you don't describe the steps, you describe the outcome. You say, I need a competitive analysis of these 5 companies with a focus on their pricing changes, recent product launches, and any executive hires in the last quarter. Format it as a comparison table with sources. And Computer doesn't just answer that question, it assembles a team. One subagent handles the financial research, another one tracks leadership changes, a third one monitors product launches. They work in parallel, sharing a workspace, and the results get synthesized into one coherent deliverable. It's the difference between hiring one generalist who's decent at everything and deploying a squad of specialists who happen to share a brain. The CEO of Perplexity, Aravind Srinivas, put it well at launch when he said, musicians play their instruments, I play the orchestra. That's the Steve Jobs energy, and honestly, no, it's not wrong. The whole thing runs in the cloud. No local setup, no configuration headaches, no begging your IT department for permissions. You log in, describe the outcome you need, and the system figures out the how. So, mental model number 1, stop prompting it like a search engine. Start briefing it like a new hire who happens to have 19 different specializations, 400 integrations, and never calls in sick. That single shift in how you think about the tool changes everything that follows. Segment 2, the Notion memory hack. Now, Computer already has persistent memory built in. It remembers your name, your company, your preferences, your past projects, even your corrections across sessions. That's genuinely useful. But here's the problem. It's a black box. You can't easily see everything it remembers. You can't edit it cleanly. And if something gets corrupted or confused in that memory, debugging it feels like performing surgery with oven mitts. Here's the power move. And this is something I do every day running my company. Use Notion as an intelligence backup. Let me walk you through what that actually looks like. I run Build Club. We build custom AI software and automations for mid to large size businesses. And then we do the hard part that most vendors skip. We embed those solutions into the actual fabric of the organization, the change management, the workflows, the training, the adoption, because the technology is only worth what people actually use. I also serve as fractional chief AI officer for several of our clients. So on any given day, I'm juggling multiple engagements across different industries, different stages, different levels of AI maturity. That means I need to keep a lot of context in the air, not just for myself, but for my development team too. When our engineers are building a custom solution for a client, they need to know the business context, the stakeholder priorities, the decisions that were made 3 weeks ago in a call they weren't on. So I built a structured Notion workspace that tracks everything across every engagement. Client deliverables and project phases, communication between me, the client, and our dev team. A frameworks and prompts database with versioned prompts, so we know exactly which version produced which result for which client. Intelligence files on every AI tool we deploy. A complete activity log for everything done on Perplexity Computer. Session title, date, category, outputs, where they're stored, which model was used, all linked back to the relevant client, and then the real gold, per client intelligence pages. Living knowledge bases with stakeholders, strategy, pain points, competitive landscape, meeting notes, decision logs, open questions. Everything, so from our engineers to our AI agents, has access to the same institutional context. It's how a small, focused team can serve clients like we've been embedded there for years. Computer connects to Notion natively. It's one of over 400 managed integrations. Slack, Gmail, Calendar, HubSpot, Salesforce, GitHub, Jira, you name it. So when I start a client session, Computer reads that client's intelligence page and instantly has the full picture. No onboarding, no 20 setup questions. It just picks up with the complete playbook in memory. And here's the critical part. Anytime something changes, a new deliverable, a shift in strategy, a decision from a stakeholder call, both the AI's persistent memory and the Notion workspace get updated at the same time. They mirror each other. Two copies, one truth. But here's what makes this really powerful. I rarely go into Notion myself to manually update anything. My AI agents do it when I finish a client call. The agent reads the transcript, updates the meeting record, creates tasks and deliverables, drafts the follow-up email, all written directly to Notion. By the time my dev team starts their morning, the client context from yesterday's call is already there waiting for them. The system of record stays current without anyone typing a single thing in. Documentation happens as a byproduct of the work, not as a separate chore. That's what makes it non-obtrusive. That's what makes it actually stick. Why does this matter? Because now your institutional knowledge is human readable, human editable, and it survives beyond any single AI session. If Perplexity updates their memory system tomorrow and something resets, my Notion workspace is untouched. I reload it and I'm back to full operational context in 30 seconds flat. You're essentially building a second brain that both you and your AI can access. One of you thinks in natural language, the other one thinks in tokens, but you're both reading from the same playbook, and that's what turns a smart tool into an institutional asset. For YPO members managing multiple clients, running complex engagements, or juggling recurring workflows, this hack alone is worth the price of admission. It's the difference between starting from scratch every time and compounding your AI's intelligence the way you'd compound an employee's experience. Except this employee never forgets what you taught it last Tuesday. And unlike that shared Google Doc that nobody updates, this system actually gets used because the agents are doing the writing. No discipline required, no documentation guilt, just intelligence that compounds while you do the actual work. Segment 3, the sub-agent strategy. This is where most people leave the most value on the table. Computer's real power is in its sub-agent architecture, but it only fires on all cylinders when you give it enough specificity to work with. Vague in, vague out. That's not a bug, that's physics. Let me show you the difference with a real example. Bad prompt, research my competitors. That's what you'd type into Google. Computer will give you a Google quality answer. Surface level, generic, missing the details that actually matter to your business. It's not being lazy, you just didn't give it enough to work with. Good prompt. Research my top 5 competitors across 3 dimensions. Recent product launches in the last 6 months, pricing changes in the last 90 days, and any leadership hires at the VP level or above. Produce a comparison table with sources for every claim and flag anything that changed in the last 2 weeks. Feel the difference? That specificity triggers the orchestration engine. Each dimension becomes its own sub-agent. One is tracking product launches across press releases and product pages. One is monitoring pricing by checking websites and industry databases. One is scanning for executive moves across LinkedIn, press announcements, and SDT filings. They run in parallel, not sequentially, not one after another, but simultaneously. And the dependency management is smart. If the analysis agent needs data that the research agent hasn't returned yet, it queues automatically and waits. No crashes, no half-baked outputs, no, sorry, something went wrong. And here's something most people don't even realize is possible. You can steer which model handles which part of the task. You can say, use Claude for the strategic analysis, use Gemini for the primary research gathering, and use GPT for the final synthesis since it needs to hold all the context at once. You're not just delegating work, you're conducting an orchestra, and you get to pick which musician plays which part. The key insight is this: the quality of your output is directly proportional to the specificity of your input. Computer rewards precision the way a good employee rewards clear expectations. AI guessing is just hallucination with good posture. Give it a job description, not a vague wish. And if you're not sure how specific to be, err on the side of too much detail. You can always tell it to simplify, but you can't get depth from a shallow prompt. Segment 4, the Monday morning action. All right, let's make this concrete with something you can actually do in the next 5 days. You've got a board meeting coming up, maybe not next week, but soon enough that it's already living rent-free in the back of your mind. Normally, prepping for that means your chief of staff or your strategy lead spends 3 to 5 days pulling together a briefing document. They're gathering competitor filings, reading analyst reports, reconciling the financial narrative, building the deck. It's tedious, it's time-consuming, and frankly, about 70% of it is mechanical work that doesn't require strategic judgment. It requires patience, caffeine, and access to the right documents. A machine can do that. Here's the computer version. You upload your last quarterly report, 3 competitor 10Ks, and 2 industry analyst pieces. Computer reads all of them. Documents, spreadsheets, presentations, whatever format you've got. Then you say, generate a board-ready briefing document with 4 sections. 1, executive summary. 2, competitive positioning. 3, risk factors. 4, recommended discussion points. Cite every claim with its source. Format it as a professional document I can send to my board. 20 minutes, maybe 25 if the filings are particularly dense. And you have a solid first draft sitting in front of you, not a perfect draft, and you're still going to layer in your strategic judgment, your institutional context, the stuff that actually requires being the person who runs the company. But the research lifting, the source gathering, the competitive benchmarking, the formatting, that's done. For mid-market companies, the $50 to $500 million revenue range, that don't have a 6-person strategy team or a Bloomberg terminal on every desk, this is genuinely new territory. A multi-model research department for $200 a month. Think about what that actually means for a moment. The analytical capabilities that used to require a $250,000 headcount line item are now a software subscription that costs less than your monthly coffee budget for the office. And look, I'm not saying fire your analysts. I would never say that. I'm saying give them leverage. The best companies won't replace humans with AI. They'll arm their humans with AI and outrun everyone who didn't. That's not futurism. That's Monday morning. One more thing before I go. Perplexity built a 4,000-row research spreadsheet overnight using computer internally, a task that would have taken a team of analysts a full week. That's not a marketing number from a press release. That's an internal use case. They're eating their own cooking, and so am I. Every episode of this show and the research, the drafting, the production runs through the same system I just walked you through. It's not perfect. It still needs a human with judgment and taste at the controls. But software without skilled humans is just an expensive screensaver. And humans without good software are just slow. That's the YPO Technology Network AI Brief Weekly Special for Saturday, March 7th. I'm Stephen Forté. If this was useful, send it to a fellow member who's still treating their AI tools like a search engine. They don't know what they're missing. I'll be back Monday with the Daily Brief. And until then, stay sharp.